This is the percussion equipment I talked about. Each one of these marimbas can range anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 or $8,000. That set of typically back there is worth about $10,000. The chimes, $1,500. We have two $2,000 keyboards right there. The security works. It's somewhat antiquated, I would say. Those poles are pretty removable. We've had instances where people have walked by, jarred those. I've come back and my room has been open. We have had instances where things have been left out and found, and they've been personal items have been moved. We haven't had anything dramatic happen yet with the instruments, but if we have some, like when the show choir hosts their invitational, they actually have to bring people through this room, and we have to move all this stuff down here in order for them to get out onto the stage. So it's just another example of we've literally outgrown what we have. This is at the end of the locker hallway where we keep the marching band uniforms, and the locker hallway is it's maybe about that wide, not even. When you have about 100 kids trying to go both ways, getting their stuff out of there, that becomes pretty problematic. In that hallway are the instrument lockers themselves, which if you have this is fine. But if you open up both sides of those instrument lockers, you take off about 2 to 3 feet off both sides, and you have the width of about one person that's in the middle of that. Offices, both Carla's and my office, because we're outgrowing other things, we both have file cabinets that we're now using to keep in our office, to keep storage items. Things just kind of keep piling up on top of whatever. Auditorium, again, things we've already talked about. The storage space. This is huge when it comes down to who gets to actually use the auditorium. We have, the drama department has things that they need to do from back over here and around the corner. There's storage areas over there. But the problem is that these risers over here, if they're going to be picked up and moved, they have to get set to a place that may be in the way of a fire code. They can be pushed back and held against the back of the stage, but that limits the size of the stage. So we run out of space again there. This is a shot up. It's kind of hard to see, but there are curtains, which of course you need. But the way that the stage is laid out, the proportion of the stage to the ceiling, a lot of the sound goes straight up. Curtains don't reflect sound, they absorb sound. So when this stuff goes up into this heavy velour curtain, it gets trapped. For our band concert we had in the winter, half the band is kind of behind where those curtains, all that sound goes up, all the sound in the front of the stage goes out. Now if you have poor miking or what's the sound system, that can kind of counter it for an individual, but it's not going to do the job for an entire group. The broken chairs we've already talked about. We've seen those. Moving on, I don't believe we can fit the whole student body in the auditorium. I think. Do you know what the size is?
The auditorium, no. The last time we did, we're to the point now we're close. It's very, very full. With the broken seats, it makes it difficult, but we can. Given the fact that if enough seniors, or we do it at the right period, or enough seniors are out of the building, we can. If every kid that's enrolled was there, no, we couldn't.
Okay.
But if we do it on a certain period when enough kids are out of the building, we can.
Okay. This goes on to outside. With what we do with the band, we practice on a parking lot, which is convenient for us. It's not a full-size parking lot, and the biggest issue, this is actually a path for cars to drive in. We're seeing some pretty significant growth over the last couple of years with the size of the band that we anticipate going on to next year. So when we go out to practice our thing, we're stopping at the back half, and that's at the back hash mark. That's actually limiting the amount of space that we can utilize. As we look to continue growing, for us to not have a full field is kind of like having a basketball court that only goes to about the free throw line on one side. Kind of the same thing. Another huge problem, here is the receiving area. When delivery trucks show up, there's a sign that tells them to go this direction to get to the receiving area. There's been times where we've been in rehearsal, in band camp, even in class time, where there have been little semis driving through where our kids are. Now, common sense might dictate, go around the kids. Common sense isn't always in place when that happens. No, we haven't had any accidents yet, but if they don't know that you can go around the back, they're just doing their job to drop off a delivery. If we have kids out there, that's unsafe. The practice field, being on the parking lot, when I rehearse the band, I get on a scissor lift that elevates above the rest of the group. With what happened at Notre Dame, was it last year? There was actually someone killed in a scissor lift due to the wind. That obviously makes some pretty big concerns. The other thing it does, in addition to the potential of wind blowing, it doesn't give me a perspective that's realistic for when the kids go out and they perform and compete. Sound travels, for the most part, it's unidirectional. It's going to go from its point of origin. From right here, the band kids are going to play right there. If I'm up on top, I can't hear and give them the correct information they need for someplace like Lucas Oil Stadium. In order for that to be correct, I would have to be farther back and a lot higher up. It works okay, but in the context of the safety, having to spend the money to rent the lift, that becomes a concern. And I think there was one other thing. We have trophy cases that are full, which is nice. Now we have an example of all these trophies and no place to put them. That encroaches on the space that we have for our students.